Hey guys, Virgin Vinyl with you again today. Progressive rock. What do we think of when we think of progressive rock? Which band is the most emblematic of that genre of 70s prog rock? I would have to say that for me, and I think for most of you as well, that band would be Yes. And you know, everybody always talks about Close to the Edge and Fragile and Relaya, and you know, of course, they had their big hits in the 80s. Owner of a Lonely Heart. But one album that sort of I think gets a little bit overlooked and definitely should not, because I think it's one of their best as well. And I'm not saying it's their best. Close to the Edge, I think, is easily the best. But this one right here, right? Going for the one. I had a bit of a hard time with this album when I first heard it because even though I loved the album, I hate that sort of rockabilly intro to the song Going for the One. I don't know, it's just like, I just don't like it. I don't think it fits the music at all. I think it's shit. But it quickly passes, you know, that section sort of quickly changes and the rest of the song develops, and it's an absolute masterpiece of a song, the rest of it. And as so is the rest of the album. This thing is really cool. I think maybe the one thing about this album that I think maybe drops it down under albums like Close to the Edge and Relaya and Fragile, and even the Yes album, and yeah, I mean, I'd probably put it about there under those ones. Those albums have a sort of, you know, Yes always has that sort of, you know, John Anderson positivity beaming out of it, but there was sort of like instrumentally a little bit more of a darkness in those albums. This sort of seems to be pretty much pure light, you know. But, and as somebody who is, you know, more fond of the dark side, generally, you know, I in many cases that would be a turn off for me, but this album is just so masterful that I'm quite happy to live completely in the light with this one. Now this copy, as you can see, is very beat up. This is an original pressing, and it's a US pressing from 1977, I believe. And is that right? Yeah, 1977, Atlantic. It's a sort of three-way gatefold here. I'll show you that. There's that imagery, of course, is, you know, sort of contrasting against the modernist, you know, that sort of stark modern look of the front cover. And of course you got the guys inside there. John, of course, John Anderson looking very, you know, like he's contemplating the mysteries of life. And Rick, of course, looking like he's thinking about ways that he can make fun about John contemplating the meaning of life. This album, like, is you know, it's really it's an interesting one because, you know, after when Yes did Tales of Topographic Oceans, they really pushed the whole progressive thing to the limit. You know, they really to the point where that album, I think unfairly maybe, but I can understand why it has become emblematic of the so-called excesses of prog, you know, and people always say that prog became pretentious or something like that. I really disagree with that. I think that it's the opposite of pretentious. I think like all, you know, all those sort of like art rock, like bands that can't play for shit, but think that they're creating this great artistic statement. I think that's way more pretentious, because they're all of it is pose and attitude. The prog musicians were all about, you know, entertaining you with bombastic music, you know, and making it exciting and a thrill ride, and you know, jam packing it full of, you know, fireworks. What's like, that's entertainment. That's, you know, and yes, you know, through John Anderson's vision, of course, had some sort of you know, existential sort of musings throughout the whole sort of, you know, train of their existence. But essentially, like, musically, you know, they're trying to they're essentially trying to entertain you with the most bombastic things that they can create, you know. And I think that's very pure. You might notice here, 16, right? That's 16 shekels I got this for. That's nothing. It's like a can of soda, right? Like, so for a can of Coke. Now, yeah, it's all beat up and stained and everything like that, but it's an original pressing, and I don't know, probably at some stage I'll get a nice clean version of this. But I saw it in that, I told you about that shop in a few episodes ago called The Black Hole, where it's basically just a fucking free-for-all of secondhand albums. They have some new albums in there, but I'm pretty sure that the ones that are new are like bootlegs. But like the vast majority is just secondhand stuff in crates, and, you know, all over the floor and all over the place in piles, and it's not in order. It's not, you know, neatly sorted into genres and bands or anything like that. It's all, they kind of loosely, you know, this is kind of the jazz and classical over this side, and this is kind of the rock, sort of, but it's all really still mixed. And you really just, if you want to find stuff there, you just have to go in there with a bit of time and be patient and just sort through it. You know, it's just like going to like a garage sale or something like that, but the whole shop is like that. And when I was there, I discovered this and Tomato, which was like 20 shekels in better condition, also an original pressing. And so I thought, hey, you know, for the price of 2 cans of Coke, I can buy 2 Yes albums. And this one is, you know, like I was saying, with Tales of Topographic Oceans, they really pushed everything beyond what the public could really handle, and even a lot of prog fans. And yeah, I think that album is a flawed album. This album is much more focused, much more like sort of back to Yes, drawing you in and giving you some like rockin' tunes, and just absolute epics. I mean, everything on here, you know, Turn of the Century is great, Parallels is great, Wondrous Stories is beautiful, and Awaken is completely epic. The whole album, I love every track of this album. It is definitely more mellow than you know, some of those previous albums. I mean, when I say mellow, it's not as hard edged. I think it's still bombastic and it's still big sounding, but it doesn't quite have that that sort of quite as much of the raw hard edge that some of those earlier albums have. But it's fantastic. I love this album, notwithstanding that this naked dude on the front, you know, what is it with prog bands, like showing us naked dudes' asses, you know, on their album covers. But notwithstanding this dude, the album is fantastic, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, guys, hit that subscribe button, press like, and I'll see you tomorrow.